In the heart of bustling New York City stood a culinary beacon known as Rice Bowl, a famed Chinese restaurant chain that had garnered a reputation for its exquisite cuisine and unparalleled hospitality. With its roots tracing back to the streets of Shanghai, Rice Bowl had seamlessly woven itself into the fabric of the city, captivating the palates and hearts of both locals and tourists alike. At the helm of Rice Bowl was Chef Li, a master of his craft whose culinary expertise had been passed down through generations. Each dish that emerged from his kitchen was a symphony of flavors, a delicate dance between tradition and innovation. From the succulent Peking duck to the aromatic beef noodle soup, every bite was an experience to savor. But what truly set Rice Bowl apart was not just its exceptional food, but the stories that unfolded within its walls. Every customer who walked through the doors brought with them a tale to tell, a memory waiting to be made. For some, the Rice Bowl was a place of celebration where birthdays were marked with laughter and joy. For others, it was a sanctuary of solace, a refuge from the chaos of city life. One such customer was Mrs. Chang, a widow who had frequented Rice Bowl for years. For her, the restaurant held memories of happier times, of anniversary dinners shared with her late husband. Every visit was a bittersweet reminder of the love they had once shared, and the comfort she found in Chef Li's cooking was a soothing balm for her grief. Then there was Jack, a young entrepreneur who had stumbled upon Rice Bowl during a business trip to the city. What began as a casual dinner soon blossomed into a lifelong love affair with Chinese cuisine. With each visit, Jack would explore the menu, eager to discover new flavors and textures. Rice Bowl became his home away from home, a place where he could escape the stresses of his demanding career and simply savor the moment. And let's not forget Lily, a bright-eyed college student whose first taste of authentic Chinese food came courtesy of Rice Bowl. For her, the restaurant was a gateway to a world of culinary delights, a place where she could indulge in her newfound passion for exotic flavors and spices. With each visit, Lily would eagerly devour plate after plate, her taste buds tingling with excitement. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Rice Bowl was its ability to bring people together, transcending cultural barriers and fostering connections that spanned generations. Families would gather around tables laden with steaming dumplings and crispy spring rolls, sharing stories and laughter as they passed around plates of food. In the end, Rice Bowl was more than just a restaurant. It was a culinary institution, a testament to the power of food to unite and inspire. And as long as Chef Li's kitchen continued to churn out its delectable creations, the legacy of Rice Bowl would live on, one unforgettable meal at a time. Amidst the whirlwind of stories that unfolded within the walls of the restaurant, another magical tale was about to unfold, one belonging to Kenneth, the devoted manager of Rice Bowl. Kenneth had always felt a deep connection to the Rice Bowl. Growing up in a small town in the Midwest, he had dreamt of escaping to the big city, where he could pursue his passion for hospitality. When an opportunity arose to join the team at Rice Bowl, Kenneth jumped at the chance, eager to immerse himself in the vibrant culinary scene of New York City. As the manager of the Rice Bowl, Kenneth took pride in ensuring that every aspect of the dining experience was flawless, from meticulously setting the tables to personally greeting each guest with a warm smile. He was determined to uphold the restaurant's reputation for excellence. But beneath Kenneth's composed exterior lay a heart brimming with dreams and aspirations. For years he had harboured a secret desire to one day open his restaurant, a place where he could share his love for Chinese cuisine with the world. Yet, the prospect of striking out on his own filled him with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. One fateful evening, as Kenneth was making his rounds through the bustling dining room, he noticed a familiar face seated at one of the tables. It was Mr. Wu, an elderly gentleman who had been a regular patron of Rice Bowl for as long as Kenneth could remember. Despite his advanced age, Mr. Wu exuded an aura of wisdom and kindness that never failed to leave an impression. As Kenneth approached Mr. Wu's table, he was greeted with a warm smile. "Good evening, Kenneth," Mr. Wu said, his voice tinged with familiarity. "I hope all is well with you." Kenneth returned the smile, a wave of nostalgia washing over him. "Everything is wonderful, Mr. Wu," he replied. "It's always a pleasure to see you here." Mr. Wu nodded appreciatively before gesturing to Kenneth to take a seat. "I have something I'd like to discuss with you, my young friend," he said, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. Curious, Kenneth settled into the chair opposite Mr. Wu, eager to hear what he had to say. With a thoughtful expression, Mr. Wu began to share his own story, a tale of courage, perseverance, and the transformative power of following one's dream. As Kenneth listened intently, he couldn't help but feel a sense of kinship with Mr. Wu. Here was a man who had faced his fair share of challenges and obstacles, yet had emerged stronger and more determined than ever. It was as if Mr. Wu was speaking directly to Kenneth's own heart, urging him to seize the moment and pursue his dreams with unwavering resolve. By the time their conversation drew to a close, Kenneth felt a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. Inspired by Mr. Wu's words of wisdom, he resolved to take the first steps towards realizing his dream of opening his restaurant. With a grateful smile, he thanked Mr. Wu for his guidance before returning to his duties with renewed determination. In the days and weeks that followed, Kenneth poured his heart and soul into turning his dream into reality. With each passing day, his vision began to take shape, fueled by a passion for hospitality and a deep-seated love for Chinese cuisine. And as he embarked on this new chapter of his journey, Kenneth knew that he would always carry with him the invaluable lessons he had learned within the walls of Rice Bowl, a place where dreams were nurtured and stories were waiting to be told. Kenneth was a towering figure of compassion and dedication, his warm smile and gentle demeanour a constant source of comfort to those around him. With his dark hair neatly combed and a pair of glasses perched atop his nose, he possessed an air of quiet confidence that commanded respect from all those who crossed his path. His deep brown eyes sparkled with warmth and understanding, a reflection of the kindness that lay within his heart. From the moment Kenneth first set foot in Rice Bowl, he approached his work with an unwavering sense of purpose. As the manager of the Rice Bowl, he took great pride in ensuring that every member of his team felt valued and respected. Whether it was lending a sympathetic ear to a troubled colleague or offering words of encouragement to a struggling trainee, Kenneth's compassionate nature knew no bounds. But it was his relationship with Chef Lee that truly set Kenneth apart. From their very first meeting, the two men had formed a bond that transcended the confines of the kitchen. With his meticulous attention to detail and unwavering commitment to excellence, Chef Lee was a culinary maestro whose talent knew no bounds. Yet, despite his towering reputation, he treated Kenneth with humility and respect that spoke volumes about his character. As Kenneth made his rounds through the bustling kitchen, he couldn't help but marvel at the sight of Chef Lee at work. With a flick of his wrist and a knowing smile, Chef Lee transformed simple ingredients into culinary masterpieces, his passion for his craft evident in every dish he created. "Chef Lee, you never cease to amaze me," Kenneth would often remark, his voice filled with admiration. "Your dedication to your craft is truly inspiring." Chef Lee would chuckle modestly in response, his eyes crinkling with amusement. Kenneth, it's not I who should be praised, but the ingredients themselves. They are the true stars of the show." But Kenneth knew better than to downplay Chef Lee's contributions. With his boundless creativity and unwavering commitment to excellence, Chef Lee elevated Rice Bowl to new heights of culinary greatness. As Kenneth watched him work his magic in the kitchen, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be a part of such a remarkable team. Together, Kenneth and Chef Lee worked tirelessly to make Rice Bowl a better place, their shared passion for hospitality and dedication to excellence driving them ever forward. And as they stood, side by side, united in their mission to bring joy and satisfaction to every guest who walked through the doors, Kenneth knew that there was nowhere else he would rather be. Kenneth's charm was undeniable, his magnetic personality drawing admirers from all walks of life to Rice Bowl. As he moved through the restaurant with effortless grace, his warm smile and easygoing demeanour had a way of brightening even the dreariest of days. One bustling Friday evening, as a group of giggling young women entered the restaurants, their eyes alight with excitement at the prospect of catching a glimpse of the charming manager. "Look, there he is," whispered one of the girls, nudging her friend excitedly as they spotted Kenneth across the room. "He's even more handsome in person," exclaimed another, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Emboldened by their admiration, the girls exchanged nervous glances before mustering up the courage to approach Kenneth's table. "Excuse me, Mr. Kenneth," one of them said, her voice trembling with excitement. "We couldn't help but notice how dashing you look tonight." Kenneth chuckled softly, his cheeks tinted with a hint of colour. "Why, thank you, ladies," he replied with a charming smile. "It's always a pleasure to meet such lovely guests." But the admiration didn't stop there. As Kenneth made his rounds through the restaurant, he couldn't help but notice the lingering glances and whispered compliments that followed in his wake. Even a group of elderly women couldn't resist the allure of Kenneth's charm, their eyes twinkling with mischief as they beckoned him over to their table. "Oh my, would you look at him?" exclaimed one of the women, her voice tinged with admiration. "He's like a tall glass of water on a hot summer's day." Kenneth couldn't help but laugh at their playful banter, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "You ladies are too kind," he replied, his tone laced with amusement. "But I'm afraid my heart belongs to Rice Bowl and its wonderful patrons." And with a charming wink and a gracious smile, Kenneth continued on his way, leaving a trail of smitten admirers in his wake. For in the world of Rice Bowl, even the most mundane of evenings had a way of turning into a delightful comedy of errors, all thanks to the irresistible charm of its beloved manager. After Kenneth arrived at Rice Bowl, the restaurant experienced a remarkable transformation, with business booming like never before. His leadership skills and dedication to excellence breathed new life into every aspect of the establishment, from the dining experience to the behind-the-scenes operations. Under Kenneth's guidance, the staff at Rice Bowl became a tightly knit team, united by a shared passion for hospitality and a commitment to exceeding customer expectations. With his compassionate approach to management, he fostered an environment where every employee felt valued and empowered to perform at their best. As word of Kenneth's charm and charisma spread, so too did the restaurant's reputation as a must-visit destination in the city. Guests flocked to Rice Bowl not only for its exquisite cuisine, but also for the warm welcome and attentive service they received from Kenneth and his team. "Ever since Kenneth took over, this place has been buzzing with energy," exclaimed one satisfied diner to his companions as they savoured their meal. "It's like there's a new sense of excitement in the air." From regular patrons to first-time visitors, everyone who walked through the doors of Rice Bowl was greeted with Kenneth's trademark smile and genuine hospitality. His presence lent an air of sophistication to the dining experience, elevating it from a mere meal to a memorable occasion. But Kenneth's impact extended far beyond the front of the house. In the kitchen, he forged a close partnership with Chef Lee, collaborating on new menu items and innovative culinary creations that captivated the taste buds of diners far and wide. "Kenneth has a knack for bringing out the best in people," Chef Lee remarked one evening as they worked side by side, the clatter of pots and pans filling the air. "His passion for this restaurant is infectious, and it's inspired me to push the boundaries of my creativity." Together, Kenneth and Chef Lee proved to be a formidable duo, their shared vision and unwavering dedication driving Rice Bowl to new heights of success. With each passing day, The restaurant thrived under its leadership, cementing its status as a beloved fixture in the culinary landscape of the city. As Kenneth looked out over the bustling dining room, filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation, he couldn't help but feel a swell of pride in all that they had accomplished together. For in the world of Rice Bowl, the future was bright and the possibilities were endless. Kenneth's journey to becoming the esteemed manager of Rice Bowl was a tale woven with threads of determination, resilience, and unwavering passion for hospitality. Born and raised in a quaint Midwestern town, Kenneth's childhood was filled with fond memories of family gatherings and home-cooked meals. From a young age, he had been drawn to the world of hospitality, finding joy in welcoming guests into his family's humble abode and ensuring their comfort and enjoyment. As he grew older, Kenneth's aspiration began to outgrow the confines of his small-town upbringing. With a thirst for adventure and a burning desire to pursue his dreams, he set his sights on the bright lights of the big city, where endless opportunities awaited. "I know it's a big leap, Mom, but I have to follow my heart," Kenneth said, his voice tinged with determination as he bid farewell to his tearful parents. "I want to explore the world and see where my passion for hospitality can take me." And so, armed with nothing but a suitcase full of dreams and a heart full of hope, Kenneth set out on his journey to the city, where he would embark on the adventure of a lifetime. Arriving in the bustling metropolis of New York City, Kenneth was immediately captivated by the sights and sounds that surrounded him. The vibrant energy of the streets filled him with a sense of exhilaration, and he knew in his heart that he had made the right decision. "It's like stepping into a whole new world," Kenneth marveled, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the towering skyscrapers and bustling crowds. "There's so much to explore, so much to learn." Determined to make his mark on the city's vibrant hospitality scene, Kenneth wasted no time in immersing himself in the world of fine dining and luxury hotels. From humble beginnings as a busboy in a bustling restaurant to a front desk clerk at a prestigious hotel, he embraced each opportunity with open arms, eager to hone his skill and expand his knowledge. It was during this time that Kenneth's path would intersect with that of Rice Bowl, the renowned Chinese restaurant chain in the heart of the city. Drawn to its reputation for excellence and commitment to customer service, Kenneth knew that he had found the perfect place to call home. "Welcome to Rice Bowl, where every guest is treated like family," Kenneth declared with a warm smile as he greeted patrons at the door. "I'm honored to be part of such a wonderful team, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us." And so, with his passion for hospitality as his compass and his determination as his guiding light, Kenneth embarked on a new chapter of his life, ready to embrace whatever challenges and adventures lay ahead. For in the bustling streets of New York City, anything was possible, and Kenneth was determined to make his mark on the world one smile at a time. On a crisp autumn afternoon, Kenneth found himself strolling through Central Park, taking in the sights and sounds of the bustling city that surrounded him. As he wandered along the winding pathways, lost in thought, he suddenly collided with someone coming from the opposite direction. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Kenneth exclaimed, reaching out to steady the person he had accidentally bumped into. "It's quite all right," came the gentle reply. "No harm done." Kenneth's gaze shifted to the person he had collided with, and he was immediately struck by her serene presence. Standing before him was a young woman named Eva, her features softened by a gentle smile. "Are you okay?" Kenneth asked, his concern evident in his voice. "Yes, I'm fine," Eva replied, her voice calm and reassuring. "I'm used to navigating the world by touch and sound." Realization dawned on Kenneth as he noticed the white cane resting against Eva's side. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize," he said, feeling a pang of embarrassment. "It's okay," Eva assured him. "It happens all the time." Despite the awkwardness of their initial encounter, Kenneth found himself drawn to Eva's quiet strength and resilience. As they chatted, he learnt that she had moved to the city to pursue her passion for music despite her visual impairments. "I may not be able to see the world with my eyes," Eva said with a wistful smile, but I can still experience its beauty through music. Kenneth was captivated by Eva's outlook on life, her unwavering optimism and her determination to overcome any obstacle that came her way. And as they continued to talk, he felt a connection forming between them, a bond that transcended the barriers of sight and sound. "I'd love to show you around the city sometime," Kenneth said, his heart racing with excitement. "There's so much to see and experience, and I'd be honoured to be your guide." Eva's face lit up with delight at the offer. "I would like that very much," she replied, her voice tinged with anticipation. "Thank you, Kenneth." And so, amidst the hustle and bustle of Central Park, two kindred spirits found each other in an unexpected encounter, their shared journey through the streets of New York City just beginning. For in the world of Kenneth and Eva, anything was possible, and their newfound friendship was bound to lead to countless adventures yet to come. As Kenneth and Eva continued their conversation in Central Park, the topic shifted to more personal matters, and Eva opened up about the challenges she faced in pursuing her passion for music. "You know, Kenneth," Eva began, her voice tinged with a hint of uncertainty, "as much as I love music, it's been difficult to make ends meet. The gigs I get don't always pay well, and it's hard to cover all of my expenses." Kenneth listened attentively, a furrow forming on his brow as he absorbed Eva's words. He admired her dedication to her craft, but he couldn't help but feel a pang of concern for her well-being. "I understand," Kenneth replied, his tone gentle and empathetic. "It's tough out there, especially in the music industry. Have you thought about taking on a part-time job to supplement your income?" Eva nodded thoughtfully, her fingers tracing patterns in the air as she pondered his suggestion. "I've considered it," she admitted, "but I worry that it might take me away from my music. It's a delicate balance, you know?" Kenneth nodded in understanding, his mind racing with possibilities. "Perhaps there's a way to find a job that complements your passion for music," he suggested. "Something flexible that allows you to pursue your artistic endeavours while still providing a steady income." Eva's face brightened at the suggestion, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. "You might be onto something there, Kenneth," she said with a smile. "I'll look into it and see what I can find. Thank you for your support." As they walked through the park together, the weight of Eva's worries lifted ever so slightly, replaced by a newfound sense of determination and optimism. As Kenneth and Eva parted ways in Central Park, they exchanged promises to stay in touch and support each other through life's ups and downs. With a sense of newfound camaraderie, they each returned home, their hearts warmed by the prospect of having made a friend in the vast and bustling city. That night, as Kenneth settled into bed, his mind buzzed with thoughts of Eva and their conversation in the park. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration lit up his thoughts, and an idea began to take shape. "What if I offered Eva a part-time job at the restaurant?" Kenneth mused aloud to himself. "She's not only incredibly talented, but she's also a beautiful person inside and out. Having her as part of the team would not only benefit her financially, but would also add a touch of warmth and inclusivity to the restaurant." The more Kenneth thought about it, the more convinced he became that it was the right decision. Eva's blindness was not a hindrance, but rather an opportunity to showcase Rice Bowl as a place that embraced diversity and compassion. The next morning, Kenneth wasted no time in reaching out to Eva with his proposal. He explained his idea of offering her a part-time position at the restaurant, emphasizing the unique perspective and warmth she would bring to the team. Eva was initially taken aback by the unexpected offer, but she soon realized the potential it held. "Kenneth, that's incredibly thoughtful of you," she said, her voice tinged with gratitude. "I would be honoured to join the team at Rice Bowl." And so, with Eva's enthusiastic acceptance, a new chapter began at Rice Bowl, where Kenneth and Eva's friendship blossomed into a partnership rooted in mutual respect and support. Together they embarked on a journey to not only create delicious meals, but also to foster a sense of belonging and inclusivity that extended to all who walked through the restaurant doors. At Rice Bowl, Eva's blindness was not seen as a hindrance, but rather as an opportunity to embrace diversity and inclusivity in the workplace. With her warm personality and unwavering determination, she quickly won the hearts of everyone on the team. As Kenneth and the other staff members discussed how best to incorporate Eva into the restaurant's operations, they recognized the importance of finding tasks that not only suited her abilities but also allowed her to shine.
Perhaps Eva could focus on customer service and hospitality, suggested one staff member. Her friendly demeanor and excellent communication skills would make her a natural fit for welcoming guests and ensuring they have a memorable dining experience.
Another suggested that Eva could assist with administrative tasks such as taking phone reservations or managing email inquiries. She's organised and detail-orientated, they explained. With the right accommodations, she could excel in this role. Kenneth nodded in agreement, his mind already buzzing with ideas.
Let's make sure to provide Eva with the tools and support she needs to succeed, he said. With her on board, we can show the world that Rice Bowl is a place where everyone is valued and respected.
And so, with careful consideration and thoughtful planning, Eva was assigned tasks that played to her strengths and allowed her to make meaningful contributions to the restaurant's success. Whether she was greeting guests with her warm smile, assisting with administrative duties, or lending a helping hand wherever needed, Eva's presence at Rice Bowl served as a testament to the power of inclusion and acceptance. As she settled into her role at the restaurant, Eva found herself embraced by her colleagues, who welcomed her with open arms and offered their unwavering support every step of the way. As she navigated the challenges of her new job with grace and determination, Eva proved to herself and to the world that blindness was not a limitation, but rather a source of strength and resilience. And so, with Eva's enthusiastic acceptance, a weight lifted off her shoulders, replaced by a sense of relief and hope for the future. As she embraced her new role at the restaurant, Eva knew that she had found not only a job, but also a supportive community that would stand by her through thick and thin. For Kenneth, the decision to hire Eva was more than just a business move. It was an act of kindness and compassion, a reflection of his unwavering commitment to making the world a better place, one small gesture at a time. And as he watched Eva thrive in her new role, he knew that he had made the right choice for both her and for the Rice Bowl. Eva's path to the vibrant city of New York was a tapestry woven with both victories and challenges, moulded by her unwavering determination amidst the shadows that encompassed her. Growing up in a close-knit family in a quaint town on the outskirts of the city, Eva's early years resonated with joy and affection as her parents showered her with endless love and laughter. But tragedy struck when Eva was just a child, robbing her of her sight in a cruel twist of fate. Overnight, her world was plunged into darkness, and she found herself grappling with the harsh reality of life as a blind individual in a sighted world. Despite the challenges she faced, Eva refused to let her disability define her. With the unwavering support of her family, she learned to navigate the world using her other senses, relying on touch, sound, and intuition to guide her through life's twists and turns. As she grew older, Eva's passion for music became her guiding light, a source of solace and strength in the face of adversity. Armed with her trusty guitar and a voice that captivated all who heard it, she set out to pursue her dreams with unwavering determination. But life in the city was far from easy for a young blind woman trying to make her mark in the world. Eva faced countless obstacles along the way, from inaccessible venues to skeptical audiences who doubted her abilities. Yet, through sheer grit and determination, she persevered, refusing to let anyone or anything stand in the way of her dreams. With each setback she encountered, Eva emerged stronger and more resilient, her spirit unbroken despite the trials she faced. "I may not be able to see with my eyes, but I see the world differently," Eva would often say, her voice filled with determination, "and nothing will stop me from sharing my music with the world." And so, armed with nothing but her courage and her passion, Eva forged ahead, carving out a place for herself in the bustling city of New York. With each note she sang, and each chord she strummed, she inspired others to look beyond the surface and see the beauty that lay within. For Eva, the journey was far from over, but she faced the future with fierce determination and an unwavering belief in herself. And as she took each step forward, she knew that she was not alone, for her family's love and support had carried her through the darkest of times, and would continue to light her way on the path ahead. As Eva settled into her role at Rice Bowl, she quickly became a beloved member of the team, her warm smile and infectious enthusiasm brightening the atmosphere of the restaurant. But it wasn't long before Kenneth noticed something special about Eva, a talent that transcended her role as a mere worker. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed with activity, Kenneth approached Eva with a twinkle in his eyes.
"Eva, I've been thinking,"
he said, his voice tinged with excitement.
"We have live music nights here at Rice Bowl, and I think you'd be perfect to perform."
Eva's heart skipped a beat at the suggestion, her fingers tingling with anticipation. "Really? You think so?" she asked, her voice trembling with excitement.
Kenneth nodded eagerly. "Absolutely. Your voice is something truly special, Eva. Although I haven't got the chance to hear you perform, I've heard you humming to yourself while you work. I think our customers would love to hear you sing."
With a mixture of nerves and excitement, Eva agreed to take the stage that evening, her guitar clutched tightly in her hands. As she strummed the first chords of her favourite song, a hush fell over the restaurant. The ding of conversation giving way to the sweet strains of Eva's voice. From the first note, it was clear that Eva's talent was undeniable. Her voice soared with emotion, filling the room with a warmth and beauty that left the diners spellbound. As she poured her heart and soul into each song, she transported her audience to another world, weaving a tapestry of melody and emotion that captivated all who listened. The customers at Rice Bowl were enthralled by Eva's performance, their applause ringing out like thunder as she finished her set. But it wasn't just the music that drew them in, it was the passion and sincerity with which Eva sang, the raw emotion shining through every note.
"I've never heard anything like it," one diner exclaimed, wiping away tears of emotion. "Eva's voice is like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day."
And so Eva's talent became a staple of Rice Bowl, her performances drawing crowds from far and wide to experience the magic of her music. With each song she sang, she touched the hearts of all who listened, leaving an indelible mark on the restaurant and its patrons alike. For Eva, singing at Rice Bowl wasn't just about entertaining the customers, it was about sharing her passion with the world, one song at a time. And as she stood on that stage, basking in the glow of the spotlight, she knew that she had found not only a job, but a home where her voice could truly shine. Over a month, Eva's presence inspired both the staff and customers alike. Her positive attitude and unwavering work ethic leave a lasting impression on everyone she encounters. Kenneth, in particular, finds himself drawn to her indomitable spirit and unique perspective on life. The restaurant, once bustling with activity, now hummed with a newfound energy, drawing in patrons from all corners of the city. Word of Eva's captivating performances spread like wildfire, enticing diners with the promise of an unforgettable dining experience. Kenneth watched with pride as the restaurant thrived under Eva's musical talents, his heart swelling with gratitude for her contributions to the team. But it wasn't just the customers who were impressed by Eva's performances. Chef Lee was equally enthralled by her talents.
"I never knew we had such a gem right here in our midst,"
Chef Lee remarked one evening, his eyes twinkling with admiration as he watched Eva perform from the kitchen.
"Her voice is like a symphony, weaving its way through the air and touching the souls of all who listen."
Kenneth nodded in agreement, a sense of pride swelling within him.
"She truly is something special,"
he replied, his voice filled with admiration.
"And she's brought a whole new energy to the restaurant. I've never seen the customers so engaged and enthusiastic."
The bustling atmosphere of Rice Bowl came to a sudden halt one fateful morning when Eva failed to show up for her shift. Concerned whispers filled the air as Kenneth and the rest of the staff searched for any sign of their beloved colleague. As the hours ticked by with no sign of Eva, a sense of unease settled over the restaurant. Kenneth's heart raced with worry as he frantically tried to reach Eva by phone, but each attempt went unanswered. Finally, as the day drew to a close and hope began to wane, Kenneth discovered a letter tucked beneath Eva's locker. As Kenneth unfolded the letter, written in Eva's elegant braille, his heart clenched with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. He had learned some braille to help her out and was able to read the letter. As he read each line, the truth behind Eva's sudden departure slowly began to unfold, revealing a heartbreaking confession that shook him to his core. "My dear Kenneth," the letter began, the words etched in delicate braille. "I hope this message finds you well. I write to you now with a heavy heart, burdened by a truth I can no longer bear to keep hidden." Kenneth's hands trembled as he continued to read, his heart pounding with each word. "I cannot deny the depth of my feelings for you, Kenneth," the letter continued, "nor the intensity with which they consume me. From the moment I first set foot in Rice Bowl, I knew that you were someone special, someone who would change my life in ways I never thought possible." Tears welled in Kenneth's eyes as he absorbed Eva's words, his mind reeling with the weight of her confession. "But as much as I long to be near you, Kenneth, I fear that my love for you has become a burden, a weight that I can no longer bear," Eva wrote, her words a poignant echo of her inner turmoil. "I cannot with a clear conscience burden you with the weight of my insecurities and limitations, nor can I permit myself to impede your pursuit of happiness." Kenneth's heart shattered as he reached the end of the letter, his chest constricted with the pain of Eva's departure. He had never imagined that she harboured such deep feelings for him, nor had he anticipated the depth of her inner struggle. "I will always cherish the memories we shared at the restaurant, Kenneth," Eva's letter concluded, her words a bittersweet reminder of the bond they shared. "Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your world. If only for a fleeting moment, I will carry you with me, always, in my heart and my thoughts." As Kenneth folded the letter and held it close to his chest, a tear slipped down his cheek, his heart heavy with the weight of Eva's departure. For in that moment, he knew that he had lost not only a dear friend, but a kindred spirit whose presence had touched his life in ways he could never have imagined. With Eva's letter clutched tightly in his hand, Kenneth embarked on a deeply personal journey to find her, his heart heavy with the weight of a confession. He retraced the steps of their brief but impactful encounter, visiting the places they had once frequented together in the hopes of finding a trace of her presence. As he wandered the bustling streets of the city, memories of his time with Eva flooded his mind, each one a bittersweet reminder of the bond they had shared. He visited the cafe where they had shared countless conversations over cups of steaming coffee, the park where they had laughed and shared their dreams, and the corner bookstore where they had whiled away the hours lost in each other's company. While Kenneth traversed the city in his quest to find Eva, he crossed paths with a diverse array of individuals whose lives had been profoundly influenced by her unwavering kindness and unwavering determination. Each meeting served as a poignant testament to the lasting impact Eva had on the people she encountered. As Kenneth continued on his way, he came across an elderly couple struggling to navigate the bustling city streets. Moved by their predicament, Kenneth offered his assistance, guiding them safely to their intended destination with a gentle touch and a warm smile. Observing the curiosity on Kenneth's face, the elderly woman couldn't help but inquire, "Is there someone you're searching for, dear?" With a mix of determination and hope, Kenneth responded,
"Yes, I'm looking for a dear friend of mine. She's blind and unexpectedly left her job without informing me."
Recognition flickered across the elderly man's face, gratitude evident in his voice as he remarked,
"Ah, you must be referring to Eva. She's an extraordinary young woman. Despite her blindness, she possesses an unwavering spirit and always extends a helping hand to those in need. She has been a beacon of light in this very city."
Kenneth nodded in awe, his heart swelling with pride for his remarkable friend.
"What are the odds? Indeed, she is truly exceptional," he replied, his voice laced with admiration. "I am immensely grateful to have known her. I am determined to find her soon."
Further down the road, Kenneth encountered a young musician playing his guitar on a street corner, his fingers dancing across the strings with skill and precision. As Kenneth stopped to listen, he couldn't help but be struck by the raw emotion in the young man's voice, a testament to the inspiration he had drawn from Eva's musical talents.
"Is Eva the blind girl you're searching for?" the musician asked, pausing mid-song to meet Kenneth's gaze. "She's the reason I picked up this guitar in the first place. Her music gave me the courage to pursue my passion, even when times were tough."
Kenneth smiled at the young man's words, a sense of pride swelling within him.
"I'm glad to hear that," he replied, his voice filled with gratitude. "Eva has a gift of touching the lives of others in ways she may never fully realize."
And so, with each encounter, Kenneth was reminded of the profound impact Eva had on the world around her. From the smallest act of kindness to the grandest gesture of love, her presence had left an indelible mark on the lives of all who crossed her path, a legacy that would endure long after she had gone. Back at the restaurant, the air was filled with the aroma of sizzling spices and simmering sauces as Chef Lee presided over the bustling kitchen, orchestrating a symphony of flavours with practiced precision. Amidst the controlled chaos of the restaurant's lunch rush, the absence of one familiar face did not go unnoticed, a fact that weighed heavily on the hearts of Chef Lee and the rest of the staff. As the hours stretched on and Eva failed to show up for her shift, concern rippled through the ranks of Rice Bowl, casting a shadow over the once vibrant atmosphere of the restaurant. The other workers exchanged worried glances, their minds filled with questions and uncertainty.
"Has anyone heard from Eva?"
one server asked, her voice tinged with anxiety as she scanned the crowd dining room for any sign of their missing colleague. Chef Lee's brow furrowed with concern as he considered the question, his mind racing with possibilities.
"No, I haven't seen her," he replied, his voice tight with worry, "and Kenneth mentioned that she wouldn't be returning, but he didn't say why."
The news sent a ripple of unease through the staff, their thoughts turning to the blind girl who had become an integral part of their team. Eva's absence left a palpable void in the restaurant, a void that threatened to swallow them whole if left unchecked. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of Eva. With each passing moment, concern for her well-being grew, fueling whispered conversations and anxious glances exchanged between the staff. "Where could she be?" one worker wondered aloud, her voice filled with concern. "I hope she's okay." Chef Lee nodded in agreement, his expression somber as he grappled with the uncertainty of Eva's fate.
"I don't know," he admitted, his voice heavy with regret. "But we have to trust that she's safe, wherever she may be."
Unbeknownst to the rest of the staff, Kenneth carried the weight of Eva's disappearance on his shoulders, burdened by the knowledge of her heartfelt letter and the truth it contained. And though he longed to confide in his colleagues, to share the depth of his concern for Eva's well-being, he knew that he had made a promise, one that he intended to keep no matter the cost. And so, as Rice Bowl continued to buzz with activity, the mystery of Eva's disappearance remained unsolved, a silent reminder of the fragility of life and the bonds that held them all together. For in the heart of the restaurant, amidst the clatter of pots and pans and the laughter of diners, there lingered a sense of longing. A longing for the return of a beloved friend and colleague, whose absence left a void that could never truly be filled. As the days stretched into weeks and Eva remained missing, Kenneth's determination to find her only grew stronger. Unable to bear the thought of her absence weighing on his heart any longer, he made the difficult decision to take matters into his own hands no matter the consequences. With a heavy heart, Kenneth resolved to put his search for Eva above all else, even if it meant sacrificing his responsibilities at Rice Bowl. He knew that finding her was the only thing that mattered, and he was willing to do whatever it took to bring her home safely. And so, with a sense of purpose burning within him, Kenneth disappeared from the restaurant without a word. His absence was felt keenly by his colleagues and friends. But he couldn't afford to let their concerns sway him from his mission. Eva needed him, and he was determined to find her no matter the cost. Day and night, Kenneth scoured every corner of the city in search of any clue that might lead him to Eva's whereabouts. He spoke to anyone who might have seen her, asking questions and following leads with single-minded determination. He combed through records and reached out to local authorities, leaving no stone unturned in his quest to find the woman he loved. As the days turned into weeks and Kenneth's absence from the restaurant stretched on, concern among the staff grew to a fever pitch. Rumours swelled about his sudden disappearance, with whispers of foul play and sinister motives circulating among the workers. But amidst the uncertainty and fear, Kenneth remained undeterred, his focus unwavering as he pressed on in his search for Eva. He couldn't afford to give up now, not when he was so close to finding her, not when his heart ached with the longing to see her safe and sound once more. And so, with each passing day, Kenneth's determination burned brighter, a beacon of hope in the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. For he knew that no matter the obstacles that lay ahead, he would stop at nothing to bring Eva home, where she belonged. As Kenneth was no closer to finding Eva, his heart grew heavier with each passing moment. Amidst the flurry of emotions stirred by his quest, he found himself questioning his own life choices and the meaning of true happiness. Eva's sudden departure had left an unmistakable void in his heart, one that he struggled to fill as he searched for answers. As he retraced their shared memories and encounters, Kenneth couldn't help but be overcome by a wave of introspection. He found himself pondering the choices he had made and the paths he had taken, wondering if he had been blind to the true desires of his heart all along. With each step he took, Kenneth realized that Eva's absence had revealed a longing within him, a longing for her presence, her warmth, and her unwavering spirit. As he grappled with the depth of his feelings, he came to a startling realization that he had developed feelings forever, feelings that transcended mere friendship and had taken root deep within his soul. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning, shaking him to his core as he struggled to come to terms with the truth. How had he not seen it before? How had he allowed himself to become so blind to the depth of his own emotions? As he continued his search for Eva, Kenneth found himself confronting his fears and insecurities, grappling with the possibility of rejection and heartache. But amidst the uncertainty, one thing remained clear. He couldn't ignore the pull he felt towards her, the magnetic force that drew him inexorably closer with each passing moment. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, Kenneth pressed on, his heart ablaze with the burning desire to find Eva and confess his true feelings to her. For he knew that true happiness lay not in the pursuit of fleeting desires, but in the embrace of genuine love, a love that had been waiting for him all along in the form of a blind girl with a heart of gold. As Kenneth trudged through the city streets, his footsteps heavy with uncertainty, he couldn't shake the feeling of despair that gnawed at his soul. With each passing moment, the weight of Eva's absence grew heavier, casting a shadow over his every thought and action. "Will I ever find her?" Kenneth muttered to himself, his voice tinged with frustration.
I am searching high and low. It feels like she's slipping through my fingers, disappearing to the depths of the city with each passing moment.
As he retraced their shared memories and encounters, Kenneth couldn't help but feel a sense of hopelessness creeping in. What if he was too late? What if Eva had already moved on, leaving him behind to wander in search of a ghost? With each dead end he encountered, Kenneth felt his resolve waning, his spirit crushed beneath the weight of his doubts and fears. He couldn't bear the thought of never seeing Eva again, of never having the chance to tell her how much she meant to him.
I can't give up, Kenneth whispered, his voice barely audible above the din of the city. I have to keep searching, no matter how hopeless it seems. Eva needs to know how much she means to me, and I won't rest until I find her.
And so, with renewed determination burning in his heart, Kenneth pressed on, his eyes scanning the crowded streets for any sign of the woman he loved. For he knew that true love was worth fighting for, even in the darkest of times, and he refused to let Eva slip through his fingers without a fight. As Kenneth followed the faint trail of clues that led him to the outskirts of the city, his heart pounded with anticipation. He could feel himself drawing closer to Eva with each passing moment, his determination driving him forward despite the uncertainty that gnawed at his soul. And then, as he rounded a bend in the road, he spotted her, a solitary figure standing beneath the shade of a towering oak tree, her voice rising and falling in a haunting melody. It was Eva, the object of his search, singing a sad and melancholic song that pierced the stillness of the surrounding countryside. As Kenneth approached, he couldn't help but be struck by the raw emotion in Eva's voice, a testament to the pain and longing that filled her heart. He watched in silence as she poured her soul into each note, her fingers dancing across the strings of her guitar with a skill and grace that left him breathless. Surrounded by a handful of listeners who had been drawn by the power of her music, Eva seemed lost in her world, her eyes sad in quiet contemplation as she gave voice to the emotions that churned within her. For a long time, Kenneth stood, transfixed, unable to tear his gaze away from the sight before him. He listened to Eva sing, the melody washing over him like a gentle wave, filling him with a sense of peace and contentment that he had never known before. In that moment, all the uncertainty and doubt that had plagued him melted away, replaced by a profound sense of clarity and purpose. For here, in the presence of Eva and her music, Kenneth found the answers he had been searching for, the answers to questions he had not even known to ask. As Eva finished her song and the last notes faded in the quiet of the evening, Kenneth stepped forward, his heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. "Eva," he called out, his voice barely above a whisper. Eva's eyes wandered at the sound of his voice, and as she turned her face towards him, a look of surprise and wonder crossed her features. "Kenneth!" she breathed, her voice filled with emotion. And at that moment, as they stood together beneath the fading light of the setting sun, Kenneth knew that he had found what he had been searching for all along. A love that transcended time and distance. A love that had been waiting for him here in the arms of the woman who had captured his heart. As Kenneth stood before Eva, his heart pounding in his chest, he knew that this was his moment. The moment he had been waiting for. The moment he had been searching for all along. With every fibre of his being, he knew that he had to seize this opportunity to lay bare the depths of his heart and soul before the woman who had captured his affections. "Eva," Kenneth began, his voice trembling with emotion as he took a step closer to her. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I've been wanting to say for a long time." Eva's face widened with surprise, her gaze locked as she waited with bated breath for his words. "I thought I would never find you," Kenneth continued, his voice filled with raw honesty. "But as I searched for you, I realized something. I realized that I couldn't bear the thought of never seeing you again, of never having the chance to tell you how much you mean to me. Tears welled in Eva's eyes as she listened to Kenneth's heartfelt confession, her heart swelling with a mixture of joy and apprehension. Could it be true? Could the man standing before her truly feel the same way she did?
"I love you, Eva," Kenneth declared, his voice ringing out with conviction. "I love you with every fibre of my being, with every breath I take, and I will spend the rest of my days proving to you just how much you mean to me."
For a moment, the world stood still as Eva processed Kenneth's words, her heart soaring with a newfound sense of hope and possibility. And then, with tears streaming down her cheeks, she reached out and took his hand in hers, her fingers intertwining with his in a silent promise of love and devotion. "I love you too, Kenneth," Eva whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've loved you from the moment I met you, and I will love you for all eternity." And in that moment, as they stood together beneath the fading light of the setting sun, Kenneth and Eva knew that they had found something truly special. A love that transcended time and distance. A love that had been waiting for them all along, just waiting to be discovered. As Kenneth grappled with the overwhelming emotions of his deepening affection for Eva, he became acutely aware of the formidable obstacles that threatened to thwart their chances of being together. The strict regulations prohibiting any personal relations among co-workers at the restaurant cast a foreboding shadow over the future they had envisioned. The weight of this realization settled heavily on Kenneth's heart, compelling him to confront the consequences and challenges head-on. The thought of concealing his love forever, of perpetuating a clandestine relationship amidst their colleagues, was unbearable. Driven by an unwavering resolve, Kenneth made the daring decision to confide in Chef Lee and the other members of the restaurant staff. As Kenneth and Eva returned to the restaurant after their time apart, the staff members and Chef Lee greeted them with a mixture of relief and joy. For weeks they had worried about their missing colleagues, their concern growing with each passing day. But now, as Kenneth and Eva stepped through the doors of the restaurant, their faces weary but filled with a sense of purpose, the staff's fears were finally laid to rest. Chef Lee's eyes widened with surprise as he caught sight of Kenneth and Eva, his expression one of disbelief and joy.
"Kenneth, Eva, you're back!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with genuine happiness. "We've been so worried about you both. Are you all right?"
Kenneth nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips as he exchanged a meaningful glance at Eva.
"We're fine, Chef Lee," he replied.
The other staff members gathered round, their faces alight with curiosity as they waited for Kenneth to speak. With a deep breath, he began to recount the events of the past few weeks. His search for Eva, the challenges they had faced, and the ultimate realization that their love for each other was worth fighting for. Vulnerable yet determined, Kenneth laid his heart bare in front of his colleagues, seeking understanding and support.
"Chef Lee,"
he began, his voice steady despite the nerves that churned within him.
"There's something I need to tell you, something important."
With trepidation and hope intermingled, Kenneth mustered the courage to share the truth about his feelings for Eva. He revealed the depth of their connection, the profound impact she had on his life, and the fervent desire to pursue a genuine relationship with her. As he explained the depth of his feelings for Eva, Kenneth watched Chef Lee's expression carefully, searching for any sign of judgment or disapproval, but to his surprise, Chef Lee, the wise and respected leader of the kitchen, listened intently to Kenneth's words, his expression thoughtful as he absorbed the gravity of the situation. With a nod of acceptance, he spoke words of wisdom and support, setting the tone for the rest of the staff.
"I've always believed that love knows no boundaries," Chef Lee declared,
his voice carrying a note of sincerity.
"If Kenneth and Eva have found happiness in each other, then who are we to stand in their way? Let us embrace their love with open arms and celebrate the bond they share."
Relief washed over Kenneth as he heard Chef Lee's words. his fears melting away in the face of his mentor's acceptance and understanding. With newfound courage, he turned to the other workers at the restaurants, sharing his feelings forever with honesty and sincerity. When Kenneth shared his heartfelt confession with the staff of Rice Bowl, the reactions varied, reflecting a range of emotions from surprise to warmth and understanding. The other workers exchanged glances, their faces a mixture of surprise and curiosity as they processed Kenneth's confession, but as they listened to his words and witnessed the genuine affection between him and Eva, their initial hesitations began to melt away, replaced by a sense of camaraderie and acceptance.
"I never would have guessed," one server admitted, her eyes wide with astonishment. "But if Kenneth and Eva are happy together, then I'm happy for them. Love is a beautiful thing, after all." "I've always admired Eva's strength and resilience," another worker chimed in, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "And if Kenneth can make her happy, then I say more power to them. Love knows no bounds."
To his surprise and delight, the other workers welcomed the news with open arms, offering their support and encouragement in the face of the challenges that lay ahead, for they knew that their love was a rare and precious gift, one that deserved to be celebrated and cherished even in the face of adversity. As Kenneth and Eva stood before Chef Lee and the rest of the staff at the Rice Bowl, their faces filled with a mix of gratitude and humility. They knew that their sudden disappearance had caused concern and worry among their colleagues, and they were determined to make amends for the distress they had caused.
"Chef Lee, everyone," Kenneth began, his voice filled with sincerity, "we also want to apologize for the worry and uncertainty we've caused by disappearing without explanation. It was never our intention to cause any harm or concern."
Eva nodded in agreement, her expression earnest. "We understand that our absence may have caused inconvenience and worry, and for that we are truly sorry," she added, her voice soft but filled with conviction. Chef Lee regarded Kenneth and Eva with a mixture of understanding and compassion, his expression one of warmth and acceptance.
"Thank you for your honesty," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "We were worried about you both, but what matters now is that you're safe and back where you belong."
The other staff members nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a sense of relief and forgiveness. They understood that Kenneth and Eva had faced the challenges during their time apart, and they were willing to put the past behind them in favour of moving forward together as a team.
"We're just glad to have you back," one server chimed in, her voice echoing the sentiments of the group. "Rice Bowl wasn't the same without you."
Kenneth and Eva exchanged a grateful smile, their hearts warmed by the outpouring of support and understanding from their colleagues. They knew that they had been given a second chance, a chance to make amends for their mistakes and to reaffirm their commitment to the restaurant and the people who had become like family to them. As they joined their colleagues in preparing for another busy day at Rice Bowl, Kenneth and Eva knew that they had truly come home to a place filled with warmth, acceptance and unwavering support, where forgiveness was freely given and second chances were embraced with open arms. And so, amidst the hustle and bustle of the restaurant, Kenneth and Eva found themselves surrounded by a supportive community of friends and colleagues, their love celebrated and embraced by those who knew them best. For in the end they knew that love was a force to be reckoned with, a force that could overcome any obstacle, no matter how daunting it may seem, and as they embarked on this new chapter of their lives together, they did so with the knowledge that they were not alone, but surrounded by the love and support of those who cherished them most. With the support of Chef Lee and their fellow workers, Kenneth and Eva took on a new chapter of their lives together, their love shining brightly in the midst of the challenges that lay ahead. For they knew that with love as their guide, they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way, united in their commitment to each other and the bright future that awaited them. Kenneth and Eva threw themselves into their work at Rice Bowl with a renewed sense of dedication and determination, eager to make up for the time they had spent apart and to re-establish themselves as integral members of the team. Despite the exhaustion that lingered from their time away, they willingly worked extra hours, pouring their hearts and souls into every task they undertook. From the early hours of the morning until late into the night, Kenneth and Eva could be found instructing in the kitchen and dining room and greeting customers, ensuring that every aspect of the restaurant ran smoothly. They took on extra shifts without complaint, their commitment to their colleagues and the restaurant unwavering in the face of fatigue and adversity.
"We owe it to everyone here to give it our all," Kenneth remarked one evening, wiping sweat from his brow. "They stood by us when we needed them most, and now it's our turn to show them just how much we appreciate it."
Eva nodded in agreement. "We may have missed a few days, but we're not going to let it hold us back," she added, her voice tinged with resolve. "We're going to work twice as hard to make up for lost time." There was a palpable sense of joy and excitement in the air, a feeling that was only heightened by the return of Eva's sweet melodies to the restaurant. With her gentle voice and skillful fingers dancing across the strings of her guitar, Eva brought a sense of warmth and tranquility to the bustling dining room, her music filling the air with a sense of magic and wonder. Customers and staff alike were drawn to the soothing strains of Eva's music, their conversations hushed as they listened in rapt attention to the beautiful melodies that filled the space. There was something special about the way Eva's music seemed to touch the hearts of everyone who heard it, creating a sense of connection and unity that transcended language and culture. "It's like she's weaving a spell," one customer remarked, his eyes shining with wonder as he listened to Eva's performance. "I could listen to her play all day." Indeed, many customers did just that, lingering over their meals long after they had finished eating, content to bask in the warmth and beauty of Eva's music. For her melodies had a way of transporting them to another world, a world where worries and cares melted away, leaving only a sense of peace and contentment in their wake. But it wasn't just the customers who were touched by Eva's music. Her fellow staff members found solace and inspiration in her sweet melodies, their hearts lifted by the beauty and grace of her performances. "It's like she's breathing life back into the restaurant," one server remarked, her eyes shining with admiration as she watched Eva play. "Her music has a way of bringing us all together, reminding us of what's truly important." And as Eva's music continued to fill the air of Rice Bowl, Kenneth couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and gratitude swell within him. For he knew that Eva's melodies were more than just music. They were a reflection of her spirit, her resilience, her unwavering commitment to spreading joy and beauty wherever she went. As Kenneth and Eva's relationship blossomed, the news of their romance spread quickly through the halls of the restaurant, much to the dismay of the girls who had once harboured secret crushes on Kenneth. For weeks they had admired him from afar, hoping for a chance to catch his eye and win his affection, but now that he was happily coupled with Eva, their dreams of romance were dashed, leaving them feeling heartbroken and dejected. In a comical turn of events, the girls couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy as they watched Kenneth and Eva together. Their laughter and affectionate gestures a constant reminder of the love that had blossomed between them. They sighed wistfully as they observed the couple from afar, their hearts heavy with longing for the man they had once hoped to win over. But as time passed and they got to know Eva better, the girls couldn't help but be won over by her charm and grace. With her radiant smile and infectious laughter, Eva quickly endeared herself to everyone she met, including the girls who had once harboured feelings of envy towards her. "Have you seen Kenneth and Eva together?" one of the girls whispered to her friend, her eyes shining with admiration as she watched the couple share a tender moment across the room. Her friend nodded, a smile spreading across her face as she caught sight of Kenneth and Eva's loving embrace. "They are so cute together," she replied, her voice tinged with awe. "I can't help but admire them." And so, in a hilarious twist of fate, the girls who had once vied for Kenneth's attention found themselves admiring him and Eva as a couple, their hearts filled with a newfound appreciation for the love and happiness they had found in each other. For in the end, true love knows no bounds, and even the most unexpected romances can capture the hearts of those who least expect it. As Kenneth and Eva settled back into their roles at the restaurant, they brought with them a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper appreciation for the bonds that connected them to their colleagues and the restaurant itself. With every encounter with a customer they served, they infused the restaurant with a newfound charm, one that was imbued with love, affection, and a sense of unity.
"We're back where we belong,"
Kenneth remarked one evening, his voice filled with contentment as he glanced around the bustling dining room.
"And this time we're going to make sure everyone just knows how much this place means to us."
Eva nodded in agreement, a smile lighting up her face as she looked out at the familiar faces of their colleagues and customers alike. "We may have been apart for a while, but coming back here feels like coming home," she added, her voice soft but filled with conviction. Together, Kenneth and Eva worked tirelessly to create an atmosphere of warmth and hospitality at Rice Bowl, one that welcomed diners with open arms, made them feel like part of the family. They greeted each customer with genuine warmth and affection, taking the time to listen to their stories and make them feel valued and appreciated.
"It's not just about serving food,"
Kenneth remarked one day, his eyes sparkling with passion as he surveyed the bustling kitchen.
"It's about creating an experience, a memory that our customers will cherish long after they leave."
Eva nodded in agreement, her heart swelling with pride as she watched Kenneth work his magic. "And it's about making every person who walks through that door feel like they're the most important person in the world," she added, her voice tinged with emotion. And so, as Kenneth and Eva worked side by side, they breathed new life into Rice Bowl, infusing it with a sense of love, joy, and camaraderie that touched the hearts of all who crossed its threshold. For they knew that true hospitality wasn't just about serving food, it was about creating moments of connection, forging bonds that would last a lifetime, and making every person who entered their restaurant feel like they were part of something special. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, Kenneth and Eva's efforts bore fruit as Rice Bowl became not just a restaurant, but a place of love, laughter, and unforgettable memories. A place where everyone was welcome and everyone belonged.